Did you know that some foods should never be refrigerated? Food storage, often overlooked, plays a crucial role in maintaining the quality and nutritional value of our foods. Missteps in storing can lead to not only tasteless meals but also wasted nutrients. In the world of fridges and freezers, certain foods simply don't belong. We're about to embark on an enlightening journey into the realm of food storage. Stay tuned to discover the top 10 foods you should never refrigerate. Starting off our list with a surprising one, tomatoes. Now, you might think that popping your tomatoes in the fridge is the best way to keep them fresh, but it's not quite as simple as that. You see, when tomatoes are stored at cooler temperatures, it can actually hinder their ripening process. This not only affects their texture, making them a bit mushy, but also their flavor. That's right, refrigerating your tomatoes can lead to them tasting less sweet and more dull. It's like taking a bite out of a vibrant, juicy tomato and finding it's lost its mojo. And who wants a tomato with no mojo? Instead, tomatoes are happiest at room temperature, basking in the kitchen ambiance, where they can fully ripen and develop their delicious flavor. So, keep your tomatoes out on the counter, not in the fridge. Next up, we have potatoes. Now, who doesn't love a good hearty potato dish? But here's an interesting fact. Storing potatoes in the fridge can actually alter their taste and texture. Here's why. Cold temperatures cause the starch in potatoes to convert into sugar. This process, known as retrogradation, impacts the potato's flavor, making it taste sweeter than it should. Not only that, but it also changes the texture of the potato, giving it a harder, grittier feel. This could potentially ruin your mashed potatoes, fries, or any other potato dish you're planning on making. The optimal storage condition for potatoes is a cool, dark, well-ventilated place where the temperature is around 45 to 50 degrees Fahrenheit. So, next time you're about to toss those potatoes into the fridge, think twice. So, for the best tasting potatoes, skip the fridge. Now, let's talk about onions. These pungent, tear-inducing bulbs are a staple in kitchens around the world, lending their unique flavor to a myriad of dishes. But did you know that storing onions in the refrigerator can actually do more harm than good? That's right, when onions are refrigerated, the cool temperature and moisture can cause them to become soft and moldy. This is because onions are naturally dry and require a well-ventilated environment to maintain their crispness. The damp, closed environment of a refrigerator is the exact opposite of what they need. It's like sending them on a one-way trip to mushy town. But don't worry, it's easy to store onions the right way. Just find a cool, dry place, away from direct sunlight, and let them breathe. A cellar or pantry works great, or even a basket in a shaded part of your kitchen. So the next time you bring home a bag of onions, remember this simple tip. Remember, store your onions in a cool, dry place, but not the fridge. Garlic also makes our list. Now, we all know garlic as a versatile ingredient that can add a kick to almost any dish. But what you might not know is that your fridge isn't the best place for it. When garlic is stored in the fridge, the cold, humid conditions can cause it to sprout. You might have noticed green shoots growing out of your garlic cloves before. That's sprouting. And while sprouted garlic isn't harmful to eat, it can taste a bit bitter. But sprouting isn't the only problem. The dampness in the fridge can also cause garlic to become moldy. Moldy garlic can be a real health hazard, so it's best to avoid it. So where should you store your garlic? A dry, well-ventilated area is best. A good old-fashioned garlic keeper or even a mesh bag can work wonders. So keep your garlic in a dry, well-ventilated area instead. You might be surprised to learn that honey should not be refrigerated. That's right, folks. This sweet golden elixir of the gods should stay right on your countertop. You see, refrigeration, while great for many things, is not a friend to honey. When honey is exposed to the cold temperatures of your fridge, it can cause the sugars to crystallize. Now you might be wondering, what's so bad about crystallized honey? Well, crystallization changes the texture of your honey, turning it from that smooth, runny consistency we all know and love, into a more solid, grainy state. While it's still safe to eat, it's not quite as enjoyable. Instead, honey is best stored at room temperature, in a tightly sealed container. This keeps it in its ideal state, smooth, runny, and ready to sweeten up your favorite recipes. So, remember, to keep your honey smooth and runny, store it at room temperature. Coffee lovers, pay attention. In our quest for the perfect cup of joe, we often find ourselves wondering about the best way to store our precious beans or grounds. The answer might surprise you. Contrary to popular belief, the refrigerator is not the ideal home for your coffee. Why, you may ask? Well, coffee is hygroscopic, which means it readily absorbs moisture, odors, and flavors from the air around it. When stored in the fridge, coffee can easily take on the flavors of other foods stored nearby. This can lead to a not-so-pleasant morning brew. Also, each time the coffee is brought out of the fridge, condensation forms on the surface. This moisture can cause the coffee to degrade, altering the taste and freshness. So rather than preserving your coffee, refrigeration can actually do more harm than good. For the freshest tasting coffee, store it in a cool, dark cupboard. Trust us, your taste buds will thank you. Olive oil is next on our list. Let's talk about this culinary staple, a favorite in Mediterranean cuisine and a heart-healthy choice for cooking and salads. Now, have you ever noticed how some oils turn cloudy or solidify when they're chilled? Olive oil is one of them. It's due to the monounsaturated fats that make up the oil. When subjected to cold temperatures, these fats harden, causing the oil to lose its smooth liquid consistency. It's not harmful, but it can certainly be inconvenient when you're in the middle of preparing a meal. Plus, it can alter the flavor of the oil. So rather than refrigerating, the ideal storage for olive oil is in a cool, dark place. A pantry or cupboard away from direct sunlight and heat sources is perfect. So remember, keep your olive oil in the pantry, not the fridge. It's a simple step to ensure your olive oil stays at its best. Bread is another food that doesn't belong in the fridge. Now this may seem counterintuitive, as we often think of the refrigerator as the ultimate preserver, but when it comes to bread, that's not quite the case. You see, refrigeration can actually speed up the process that makes bread go stale. This happens due to a process called retrogradation, where the starch molecules in bread recrystallize, leading to a tougher texture. When you put bread in the fridge, this process is accelerated, causing your bread to harden and lose its fresh, soft texture at a faster pace. Instead, store your bread at room temperature. A bread box or a dark, dry pantry would be ideal, and for longer-term storage, consider freezing your bread. The freezer halts retrogradation, keeping your bread soft and fresh until you're ready to eat it. For fresh, soft bread, store it at room temperature. Last but not least, avocados. Ah, the beloved avocado, a staple in many of our kitchens and the star of our favorite guacamole recipe. But when it comes to storing this creamy fruit, the refrigerator may not be your best bet. You see, avocados ripen best at room temperature. Their ripening process is much like a fine dance, one that is best performed outside the chilly confines of your fridge. When you refrigerate an avocado, it can actually hinder its ripening process. It's like hitting the pause button on a movie. Everything just stops. And while this may be useful for a fully ripe avocado that you're not ready to eat yet, it's not so great for those avocados that still need some time to reach their peak. So if you're looking forward to that perfect avocado toast or a creamy guacamole dip, remember to let your avocados ripen on the counter. If you want a ripe, creamy avocado, keep it out of the fridge. To recap, here are the 10 foods you should never refrigerate. Tomatoes, as they lose their flavor. Potatoes, because cool temperatures increase their sugar levels. Onions and garlic, which can become moldy. Honey, which can crystallize. Coffee, as it can absorb odors. Olive oil, which may turn cloudy. Bread, as it can become dry. And avocados, as they need room temperature to ripen. Thank you for joining me on this journey. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe and leave a comment below and hit the bell for more health and wellness inspiration. Until next time, stay healthy and happy.